What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar with C-Zar Gets Crypto, and we are talking about Bitcoin. And yes, I am going to blow my face up. Why did it stop right there? There we go. I'm going to blow my face up because this is an important video. We're going to go over some important stuff. We're going to start off talking about the December analysis, comparing Bitcoin to all its Decembers previously. I'm going to try to make that part short, okay, because I could get lost in that. I want to get into the meat and potatoes, the real talk, which is Bitcoin pulling a 10x in this cycle, greater than a 10x from its current price. It's worth $38,800 right now, about that price, right? I think by the end of the cycle, we will see prices that are above 400,000. We might even go much higher than that. We could be above $500,000, but I would think at least somewhere above 400K. And I have a bunch of reasons for that. Both, technical analysis that involves Bitcoin's charts and other charts that don't involve Bitcoin's charts. And just like where we're at in the world, but we're gonna go over that. We're gonna go over all that. So without any further ado, let's get into it, guys. Again, starting off with this December analysis idea, we're gonna compare every December. I tried actually making this video a second ago, and I felt like it just droned on too long because I was going back and like surveying all these Decembers, but you can go back and check it for yourself if you want to. But trust whenever I tell you, I've done this a couple times. Out of all the Decembers we have, I literally wrote it down on a piece of paper. We have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 plus 6 would be 14. We've had 14 Decembers on this chart's history. If you want to pull it up, it's BTC USD on TradingView. The index is the all-time history index. I went through and I tallied how many Decembers were green, how many were red, and how many were neutral. And I define neutral for Bitcoin as anything that's less than 10% from open to close, whether it's up or down. For stocks, for like traditional markets, a 10% move in a month would not be considered neutral in most cases. But for Bitcoin, I think that that's fair to assume that that's neutral. If I'm crazy, I'm crazy, but I think that that's fair personally. And I don't care if it's at 11%. I don't count it as neutral if it's just barely above. And there were some that were like 16%, 13%, stuff like that. But without any further ado, we have had 4 neutral months by my definition, four neutral Decembers by my definition of less than 10% open to close price in gains or in losses. 4 neutral months, 4 red months, and we've had 6 green months. So statistically speaking, the most likely outcome is a green December, okay, just based off of that alone, whatever that's worth, okay. We could start a trend right now where we're forming like more red Decembers. That's entirely possible, but I want to talk about that as well, which is that we have had 2 red Decembers in a row, 2021 and 2022. Bitcoin has never seen more than 2 red Decembers in a row. In fact, the only other time that we saw 2 Decembers in a row was back here in 2013 and then 2014's December as well. We've never seen more than 2 Decembers in a row. So here we are sitting on our 3rd December. If it were to close red, we would have a 3rd red December in a row. I don't think that we're going to see that personally. I do think that adds to the validity that we probably will see a green month this month. And I would think, just based off of the statistics, that we would see a more than a neutral month off of this here, which would also lead to like greater than 10%. Okay, so greater than 10% gain in this month would, from open to close. We can go above this, but more or less that'd be right there. That'd be at about $41,300, somewhere around there, right? From open to close. Now we can go higher than that. We could go above 45K, 44K, 43K by the end of this month. I don't think we're going to go up above 48K. I personally don't think we get above these wicks, but I do think we could wick up, come down, and close somewhere around that 10% line. In fact, I do think we see some kind of a dump in the midst of this month. But all in all, the odds of this month closing green are good. The odds of it closing neutral are not good, and neutral again being defined as 10% or less. So I would think that we do see prices in that 41,000 to 48,000 zone within the next, now that it's the second on this chart. It's the first where I'm at, but on this chart it's technically the second, within the next 30 days. All right, what would that be? Yeah, I guess today, including today, that'd be 30 days. So that's December, man. That's December. That's really all I have to say about that. Oh, I guess, what was it? Is it on the monthly? I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah. I want to go over the halvings, okay? Oh, maybe I'll go over that later. Maybe we can pertain to that actually with the rest of it. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is why I think Bitcoin is going to see a greater than 10x growth from its current price. Okay, and buckle up because there's a lot of information we're about to go over. So you know, I want to go over this. This is something that I noticed earlier today. I actually just noticed. Maybe I've noticed it before and I just forgot about it, but I was going over today and it kind of shocked me. From top to bottom here, right? This is Bitcoin's first cycle from 2009 all the way up until 2011. It topped off here at $31.91, at least on this chart, and then it went down here. The next high that we saw, this is called a fib retracement scale, okay? Retracement range, whatever, fib retracement. You measure from top to bottom, the all-time high at the moment, the cycle high, to the bear market cycle low, very short bear market. We topped off next time at the 2272 extension. 2272 extension. Okay, whatever that means, who cares? That's technically what that means is if you took the length of this from bottom to top and you measured it out 2.72 times, that's where that line is. But we hit that. We basically turned around right there. Okay, cycle top to cycle bottom. We're going to do the next cycle top to cycle bottom. Again, we touched the 2272 twice in a row, right like a magnet to that level both times, from the previous cycle high to low. Okay, the only time that we hadn't done that, and being that this is Bitcoin's fourth halving coming up in April, we've only really had 3 cycles before. This is our 4th cycle now. So on the 3rd cycle here, from top to bottom, we did not hit the 2272. We actually hit the 1618 and we double tapped it. This is the first time that Bitcoin had a double top. Every other top looked like this or like a blow off top, right? Like it wasn't, we never had a double top, okay? And I have reasons for this. And I'm sure everybody has their own reasons for it. You know, I could be wrong. We could all be wrong. We could all be right. Who knows? But I have a theory as to why we saw some stagnation. Some people want to blame FTX. Some people want to blame COVID or world economic conditions. Maybe all of that has something to play into effect. I do think world economic conditions matter, but maybe it's more simple than what we're making it, right? Maybe all we need to do is look at the US dollar, and that's exactly what we're going to do. But first off, I just want to go over this again. The 1618 is where we topped off. The previous 2 times, to a T, we stopped at the 2272. If you're drawing a fib on this and it's not making sense, click logarithmic, click on your fib scale, make sure that it's set to the log-based scale, and it should be fine. If not, that's probably the issue. So anyways, moving this top, assuming that this is the cycle low, and I very much do, I think we can all assume that that's the cycle low. The 1618, the minimum extension that we've hit so far, the 1618, would be at $173,805. Okay, so that, in my opinion, and then the 1272, by the way, that's the minimum like expected price extension. That's right at 100K. Okay, so at a minimum, I would think we'd go there, but based off of what we've seen historically, I think this is the nice minimum to see. In fact, we've often gone, or I guess the other 2 times, we went further above that. And this 2272 is all the way up here at $462,000. Okay, so keep that in mind, $462,000. This is not necessarily where I got my range from, where I got my price, but this did agree with something that I'd already taken into consideration before. Now is where we're going to go to the DXY. Okay, here's the DXY. I'm going to maximize the chart space here. Let's look at this, man. Let's look at this. Let's go on the monthly and look at this. We've been in an uptrend. Everyone's saying the dollar's going to zero. We're going to come back to Bitcoin in a second, but I promise you this is pertinent to the information at hand. Everybody's saying that the dollar's going to zero. It's not. Since 2008, we have been in an uptrend. Here is our low. We have been forming higher lows. We have been forming higher highs. All the while, everybody in the world seems to know that the dollar is going to zero, yet it's not going to zero, is it? It's actually gaining value. And I mean, of course, it's deflationary. It's going to lose value against itself, yes. But against the rest of the world currencies, which is exactly what the DXY is, it's an index based on the dollar versus every other world fiat currency that's recognized, right? We've been in an uptrend. Solid uptrend, solid like channel, like literally. I can't draw straight lines, but you can see how it's more or less parallel. That is a solid uptrend that we've been in since 2008, over a decade, okay? Going on 15 years, actually, a little bit over 15 years. Each time, I want to put the Bitcoin chart on here, actually. That's what I want to do. Let's see, BTC index, sure. New price scale, we'll do that. And then I will logarithmicize it here. Logarithmic it. There we go. So so that we can see the bull cycles and stuff like that. Let me just move this here. Try to shrink this a little bit. So in the, oh man, I'm jumping around here, but maybe I should point out the DXY first. Okay, so from the bottom here, we moved up. We had a move up like this, okay? Had an initial move up, and then what did we do? We consolidated for a while until we had what? Our next move up, and then we consolidated for a while until what? We had our next move up. Okay, now this is critical. I know it might seem silly, but it is very critical stuff that we're talking about here. So hold on. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I want to make it white. I want to put it here. Here's our initial move up before the consolidation. Here's our initial move up before the consolidation. Here's the most recent move up that we had. So I think it's safe to say, based on what the dollar's been doing historically, yes, we're in an uptrend, but we just had our move up. I think now we are going to consolidate for quite some time. How long does the dollar consolidate? And we're going to move on to like why I have the Bitcoin chart on here as well. Okay, from the top to where it started to break out really of this range, you could say was probably about here, right? That was 66 bars, 66 months, okay? This was kind of the end of the initial move, but let's put it over here, sure, whatever, the top, to when we started to break out, which is all the way over here, 64 months. They are very comparable. They're not comparable in features, right? They're definitely different, a little bit of volatile. They come up to their tops, come down to their lows, whatever. But overall, about 64 to 66 months of consolidation, both times. Right now, I'm going to leave it there, from the tops, right? Right now, we have been in this phase of consolidation for 16 months. Okay, 16 months. It's January of 2024. Now, has Bitcoin gone down? Have we seen bear markets in these phases of consolidation? Absolutely, we have. Absolutely. You know, the tail end, I guess, of this bear market came in right as this was pumping. You know, you could argue that might have been the beginning, that might have been the reason for the bear market. But here, you know, we had a bear market in the midst of this consolidation phase here, right? And then here we topped off again where this kind of climb was initially. But if we were to go to, let's say 60, let's make it short, let's say 60, 61, whatever. That would put us in October of 2027. It's going to be, guys, until late 2027, if not early 2028, that the dollar is going to be consolidating. Probably, you know, if we're basing it off of what we've seen the last couple times in this little trend of consolidation and moving up. It's just stair-stepping its way up. If not, you know, maybe it's a little bit less, maybe it's a little bit longer, but it's definitely, we're in 2023, we're about to be in 2024, definitely 3 years or more away before we see this rapid growth like we did in the last Bitcoin bull cycle. And I want to say that this is my theory as to why, you know, world economic conditions aside, whatever, caused the dollar to pump, stifled Bitcoin. It had a double top, right? Because the peak of the cycle was actually going on as the dollar was bottoming out, okay? And it actually was going up here as Bitcoin reached its first top. It was going up as it reached its second top. They were moving in unison. People want to pretend that the dollar and Bitcoin are completely opposite of each other, and generally they are, but they have phases too. They have phases where they are in unison as well. Okay, we can actually prove that right here. I'm going to delete this RSI real quick, go to indicators and do, let's see, where's the coefficient? I don't have it on here. Technicals, correlation coefficient. Okay, and then we'll move it on to Bitcoin, BTC USD on the index here. Apply it. You know, we go through phases where we are uncorrelated down to the negative 90. We go to phases where we are above the zero and we're actually more correlated than we are not. We are right now in an uncorrelated phase, right? Probably going to see correlation at some point, but I'm more proving that Bitcoin is not always doing the opposite of what the dollar is doing. Okay, that's the whole point of this right here. We're going to get back to the main things here. So here, the dollar was going up, yes, but we were already in this consolidation phase. We weren't expanding, right? So Bitcoin had a phenomenal bull market. Also, the market cap was a lot lower here, but phenomenal. Okay, we had a little bit of a bear market, whatever. The dollar was coming up, cool, makes sense. Bitcoin started going up as the dollar was going up too. You know, a moment of synchronicity there. But then Bitcoin had its top basically right around the time that this thing was getting ready to break out, right? We were in the midst of our bear market as we were expanding, okay? And then we consolidated again. Bitcoin had another phenomenal bull rally, okay? And then here we are, bear market blues, whatever, ended here. We start our bull rally back in, early 2019, arguably. Maybe it didn't start until 2020, some people would like to say. But we started our bull rally here, really the full effect of the bull market. Some of the strongest moves we saw for most cryptos started back in September, August of 2020, right? Coincidentally, that was also a time not too far away in January of 2021 where the dollar found its low. Now, Bitcoin in 2021 found its top, but it was in November, right? That was its all-time high, was in November. And by that time, the dollar had already started to expand. We've never been in conditions like this where during an expansion phase, Bitcoin was still in the midst of its bull market. And I very much believe that this is what stifled the price of growing, because the dollar, Bitcoin is priced versus the dollar. The dollar going up is not good for the price of Bitcoin, right? That's just, it's very rare that you see Bitcoin going up, and it does happen. It actually does happen. It's not impossible. It happens where it goes down and Bitcoin goes down, the dollar goes up and Bitcoin goes up, but it's not long lasting. And this was toward the top of the bull cycle, as this was just at the beginning of this expansion cycle here, okay? We are in a consolidation phase right now, okay? The last cycle was stifled because we were in an expansion phase. The dollar is now in a consolidation phase, and it can go up from here. It can go down, it can go up, it can do whatever, but it's not going to expand to new highs until probably around 2027, 2029, somewhere in there, right? We've gone up before with the dollar and with Bitcoin at the same time, okay? It's not impossible to do, but whenever it's expanding, it's tremendously harder for Bitcoin to do that, right? Is what I'm getting at. That's the theory, okay? So last cycle, we're going to move back to the Bitcoin chart here, now that we've got all that. Last cycle, we grew from bottom to top, from the lowest point of the bear cycle to the highest point of the bull cycle, we grew 2,108%, okay? We were facing up here the DXY, the dollar, gaining value against the rest of the world's currencies, and Bitcoin. It was gaining strength. Not good for commodities, stocks, other currencies at all, right? We are now in a what's the word, man? I'm losing it. It starts with the C. Come on, consolidation. We are in a consolidation phase for the DXY right now. We just got done with this expansion phase, so now we're consolidating. Bitcoin doesn't have to worry about this happening or this happening or this happening this cycle. It doesn't have to worry about it because we just got done with this. This thing needs to cool off. The dollar cools off for a very long time, you guys, okay? And the halving happens in April, right? So we've got, generally speaking, after the halving, we have about a year to a year and a half worth of price action that's just good. We don't have the DXY to get in our way and stifle us and double top us again. This was a weak bull rally right here. I'm going to make this, I feel like it's a little bit too thick. I'm going to make it a little bit less or more transparent. But this is a weak bull market, okay? If we were, and a lot of people are assuming now that we're going to have an even weaker bull market than we did previously, and I'll tell you why, right? Because if you look at the bottom here, you do a 2,100% growth. That puts us at $345,000. Nobody, go around YouTube, go around X.com, look up CNBC. Nobody is talking about prices this high or higher. There might be some people that are, but most of those people are considered crazy, and they might not actually have data or facts to back that up. They might just be saying that because they're gung-ho believers in Bitcoin. They'll be proven right. The crazy people are going to be proven right because if you think that this cycle with the DXY staying out of the way this time, it's not going through expansion. We have the election year coming up, so markets are going to be good. We have quantitative easing coming about us. There is more hype around the Bitcoin ETF than there's ever been. It's not going to, here's my thoughts on the ETF. It's not going to get passed in 2024. It's going to get passed toward the end of the cycle. It'll get passed, and then it'll get listed, and once it gets listed, once it gets put out to the public, that's when the market's going to end. Very soon to that. If not that week, within a month or 2 month span, we are near the tops, you guys. We are definitely near the tops. But a similar growth, right, from low to high, if we see the same conditions that we saw last time, where we had COVID, where we had Trump getting out of office, and now Joe Biden's coming into office, right? Like two things that are economic catastrophes. And the dollar itself, we saw quantitative tightening from the Federal Reserve. Interest rates went up, inflation went up. All this stuff that's no longer in existence, but there's a lot of talk that in 2024 we're going to start to see quantitative easing from the Federal Reserve, which is whenever interest rates are coming down, right? And the money printer gets put back on, and we're printing money and we're putting it into liquid assets and stuff like that. Risk on assets become, green light thing. Quantitative easing, election year, ETF approval at the end of the cycle, all this hype around the ETF right now, no DXY to stand in our way. And no COVID beyond all that, right? Do you think that we're going to see a weaker bull market this time around? Because guess what? Even as a half, even a 1,000, and if that's 2,100, we'll do a 1,050, right? 1,000, come on, like right there. That would still be a $177,000 Bitcoin. And from top to bottom of this fib, top to bottom right here, that puts us at a 1,618, which is the minimum. You're telling me that the minimum fib extension from a cycle high to the cycle low that we've ever seen in crypto's history, and the weakest price growth that we've seen by half, we're going to experience that this cycle whenever we had a lull that we've never seen before. We've never had this lack of growth, right? With this much exposure. There's all kinds of things going on with institutional money and stuff like that. People are scooping it up. We have more exposure than ever before. Everybody's talking about how we don't need the ETF, and we really don't need the ETF, but the kind of exposure that Bitcoin's going to see, the biggest exchange in the world for crypto right now is Binance. But when an ETF gets listed, it's going to be whatever exchanges are on that, or that conglomerate as a whole. It's going to be phenomenally larger amounts of money coming in to the market, new money, traditional money, right? We don't have all this stuff standing in the way. So you tell me. I'll leave it with this. You tell me, do you think we're going to have a weaker bull market or a stronger bull market? Personally, my thoughts, I think we're going to have a stronger bull market, okay? The minimum, not the minimum, but the expected price that I would think is the 2272. And that would give us an overall growth of 2,900%, which really isn't, that's an extra 800% more than the last cycle. So that is substantially different, but it's not that far off whenever you consider we've had growth periods that were like this, from low to high, 12,124%. Here we had 62,000. I don't think we're going to see stuff like that. And down here it gets even more ridiculous, right? I don't think we're going to see stuff like that. But I think we got robbed on this last cycle. I think this was a robbing of us. It was just poor timing with the DXY's historical price, and we had the election year and COVID and all this stuff we had, and the Ukraine war, and FTX. There was a whole list, inflation, right? All kinds of stuff. Quantitative tightening. We don't have any of that now. Okay. Yes, there's the war going on with Palestine and Israel. I hope that comes to an end. But you guys, that's not new. Okay, that's not new. It's a big story right now. It's a very big story, but that's not new. This is a war that's been going on since before any of our great-grandparents were alive, right? It's been going on for a very, very long time. This isn't new. It isn't new. The things that are happening are new, and they're terrible. But I'm just saying, I don't personally think it's going to have that large of an economic impact, honestly. I don't think we're going into World War III. I'm not a doomsday believer like a lot of people are. I know that might not sit well with some of you, but other than the potential that nuclear war might happen and we might be going to World War III, which I don't think is going to happen. We don't fight war like that anymore, man. We have small countries pitted against each other fighting wars to distract the media and distract the public's eye, but behind the real wars, which is financial warfare. We're going through financial warfare. You don't want to believe it. Look at this, right? The USA is winning. The USA is in financial warfare with the rest of the world. That's why you see hyperinflation. We saw inflation, a lot of inflation in America. Everything else saw more inflation. There are a lot of countries that experienced hyperinflation throughout this time, right? And the dollar only went up. Everyone was calling for the dollar to go to zero here, and it didn't. It bounced, right? China's dollar actually started shitting the bed whenever a lot of people were calling for the dollar to go to zero. It's not how we fight wars anymore. It's financial, right? It's all behind the scenes. Any of these little battles, and they're not little battles, man. It's really, I'm not trying to demean it at all. Okay, I'm getting off topic here, but again, this Israel-Palestine war is not new, you guys. The events that are taking place are new, absolutely 100%, but it's not new, okay? The Russia-Ukraine war has kind of fizzled out a little bit, right? Maybe it kicks back up, maybe it's, and I know it's still going, but Who knows, maybe we get some kind of truce or something. If Trump becomes president, or if someone who's not Biden becomes president, we will probably get some kind of thing going on. Maybe we'll back off, like with our NATO, like pushing the borders on Ukraine. Man, I'm getting off topic here, guys. What I really want to talk about is that I think Bitcoin is going to $462,000 without getting too political, okay? I think it's going potentially there, if not higher. And the reason for that is that, yes, diminishing returns, maybe they exist. We have proof of that here. Maybe they do. But what happens if we get 800% more of growth? What happens if we hit a 2272 extension like we hit this time, and we fell short of this one time whenever Bitcoin actually was in the middle of a bull run as the dollar was in an expansion phase? You know what I mean? Like that one time, which we don't have now. We're not going to have that now. Is it possible that we could see a stronger bull market than the last bull market in overall growth? I think it absolutely is. I feel like I droned on. I might have lost some people there. Sorry if I did. Not sorry if I did, because this is solid information. Do what you want with it. Take it to the bank. Don't take it to the bank. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but that's all I got to say, guys. So if you like the video, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bitcoin will be worth potentially more than $500,000 by the end of this cycle, which is end of 2025, beginning of 2026, somewhere in that time. That's probably when we're going to see that. So that's all I got. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.